So, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So, today we are going to start one new lecture series, and lecture series is on network pharmacological approaches. So, in this particularly, what we are going to cover. So, I hope many of you knows about network pharmacology. Uh, there is a word pharmacology, and along with that word, there is a network. So pharmacology, everyone knows about pharmacology means where we are studying the pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamics of the drugs. So, but now there is a new terms that is the network pharmacology, and many of the researchers would like to learn these techniques for their research. So, what actually we are going to cover in this lecture series on network pharmacological approaches, you can see on the screens. We are going to start with the introductions, what actually the network pharmacology is, uh, how it different from the pharmacology. But before using the network pharmacological approaches, I always, said to the students, please go through your basics. So what basics are required to become a good network pharmacologist? You have to understand deeply about what are the various intracellular signaling pathways which are going to be activated by the drugs, by the chemicals and XYZs, as well as your endogenous molecule as well. So what are these signaling pathways? How first you have to understand how they play a role in normal physiological reactions, and then how these are altered during the pathological conditions, and how the drugs can correct these altered pathological changes and back to the normal state. So there are a number of important signaling pathways you might heard about. There are a number of signaling pathways are complex. They are interconnected with each others. So you have to know each and every pathway, particularly in which area you are planning to apply your network pharmacological approaches. For example, if you want to apply a your research area is metabolic disorders, and you are particularly working on diabetes mellitus. So you have to understand all the signaling pathways which are involved in diabetes mellitus. But before that, first, another thing which you have to understand is how blood glucose level is regulated by the body. You have to know about that intracellular signalings. You have to know about how insulin is regulating, how other hormones are regulating it, and then what happens particularly in the diabetes, how these normal signaling pathways are altered. That's why it results in diabetes, and how your pharmacological agents could correct it. So you have to understand about these signaling pathways. So what I mean to say, whatever area you are working, you have to understand these important signaling pathways with respect to your area. I will try to cover each and every areas. What are the important signaling pathways when we are talking about nervous systems? What are the important signaling pathway which you have to understand when we talk about immune signaling pathways? And so on. So this particular in that lectures we are going to cover important signaling pathway. Maybe it require 2-3 lectures on it. Then how popular these techniques are. To get the popularity, I will show you some case studies. I will show you in the databases like PubMed how many network pharmacological studies are being published by the researchers across the globe. Uh, Next, I am going to cover what are the importance of these pharmacological techniques and how you can use these network pharmacological techniques in your research area. You can use it if you want to find out possible mechanism of herbals. If you go through the literature, you will find a lot of network pharmacological approaches are being used in the herbal medicines. uh, with respect to so you will go through uh, the literature, you will find a lot of articles which are being published by the Chinese researcher. And if you go through little bit detail about these studies, you will find that Chinese researchers are using these techniques to explore the mechanism of their TCM, that is traditional Chinese medicines. So like that, we can also explore we can also use these approaches to explore the possible mechanism of herbals. We have a rich source of herbals. India have a lot of herbals we are using, lot of Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddhas, and these kind of medicines, homeopathies we are using. These medicines are working, but their possible mechanism is unknown. So network pharmacology is the one of the techniques which help us to understand the possible mechanism of these herbal molecules in particular disease. So these we are going to discuss how you can use these techniques and where you can use it, right? It doesn't means each and every research area you can apply the network pharmacological techniques. No, it depends upon what is your research questions, what you want to look for, what is your objective of your research, right? So according to your objective, you can think of whether network pharmacological approaches can help me or it's not helpful. What I mean to say, sometimes students are thinking whatever their area, whatever their research questions, they are not thinking about that. They just want to use the network pharmacological approaches. So it should not be like that. Network pharmacological approaches we are using according to the objective of your research studies. Then we are going to cover what are the different types of network, what are the different terms which we are using in the network pharmacological approaches, what are the edges, what are the node, what are the betweenness, and so and so, what are the different parameters, how to analyze the network, that also we are going to cover in one lectures. What are the different databases which are being used in the network pharmacological approaches? So I will try to show you each and every database, whatever the databases I know, and how to use that databases, how to extract out the data, how to prepare the Excel files, then how to use, what are the steps by step, what are the steps. If any one of you would like to use network pharmacological approaches in your research areas, so from where you have to start and from where you have to end. So that step by step we are going to discuss. That may we take 2-3 lectures on it. Uh, because first step, second, third, fourth, like that we have to be covered. Then how to plan a research work. First you understand how to use the network pharmacological approaches. So now how you can plan your research work where you can use the network pharmacological approaches. So that also we are going to cover with case studies and then followed by challenges and opportunities. So each and everything, whatever the techniques we are using, each techniques have its own advantages and their limitations. So you have to try to understand what is the advantage of these techniques and what are the limitations, so that you can apply these techniques in a better way for your research. If you don't know the what are the strengths, what are the challenges, and what are the opportunities, you can't apply these techniques in a better way. So that also very important to understand, and followed by the conclusions. So these are the topics which I have planned. If any topic left out, you can put in the comments whatever you want. I will try to include that one as well. And of course, after network pharmacological approaches, so we are getting to know about what are the possible target which my compounds or which my herbal molecules can hit in that particular disease. But how my drug molecules or my herbal molecules is interacting in the active site, we didn't get to know about the by applying these techniques. So how to get to know about out of 7 targets, with which targets my compound is interacting well, we have to do the molecular docking studies. So you might oftenly see that after network pharmacological techniques, researchers are coupling it with molecular docking. And by the molecular docking, they will get to know that energetically favored binding conformations of the molecules in the active site of the target. And then they are coupling it with molecular simulations or molecular dynamic studies to get to know about stabilities of your compounds in the active site of the targets. So it's a complete package where network pharmacology coupling with molecular docking and molecular dynamics, and then you can go for a experimental studies. So again we will discuss it, what kind of experimental studies you have to plan so that you can correlate better whatever you are getting by the competition, because network pharmacological techniques are all the computational techniques. So whenever you are submitting your manuscript or research studies to very good journal, reputed journals, they will ask you provide experimental data as well. So how to couple, how to design a experimental studies that also we are going to cover in one lectures, what kind of experimental studies and how to plan these experimental studies so that you can extrapolate your network pharmacological results into the experimental studies as well. So this is about just introductions about what actually we are going to start. And as I said, if anyone of you would like to add anything, any suggestions, anything, you can put in the comments. So I will try to cover these parts as well with respect to network pharmacological approaches. Thank you very much. I hope you in next videos we are going to start with the introductions and then followed by all these topics which you can see on in this slide. Thank you very much.